Welcome back to Bunny and Me. This is Bunny and I'm Me, and we'd like to wish you a happy August 26th. Today in 1920, the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution went into effect. This amendment is important because it effectively assured women the right to vote, which is lucky because without women and other minority groups, our chances of avoiding a Trump dictatorship would be frighteningly slim, and we could easily be stuck with 4 years of a clementine-colored clown telling women that he'd be the best thing that ever happened to them because of the size of his circus peanut. Because we've never heard that one before. Another win for minority groups on this day in 2008, Barack Obama was officially nominated as the Democratic candidate for presidency, making him the first African-American candidate. As you are undoubtedly aware, on July 21st of this year, Donald Trump became the first orange presidential candidate, thereby shattering the glass ceiling for all presidentially aspiring carotonymics. The only difference is that eating enough carrots to make your skin match a Super Plus tampon wrapper is a choice. Now, we are faced with so many choices on a daily basis, like chicken or fish, Pepsi or Coke, Butter, Bud Light, that we can easily become complacent in our choice making, because essentially both options taste the same. And as the resident vegetarian, me can attest to the fact that sometimes it feels like neither choice is an option that you can feel comfortable agreeing to. Ever since the first ballot was cast, there have been Americans who have argued that voting for one candidate or the other is like trying to choose the lesser of two evils. Do you vote for a candidate that has admitted to making troubling lies or mistakes, or do you vote for a candidate who doesn't seem to know the difference between a truth and a lie? Ultimately, we can't answer that for you, because your ballot isn't our choice. But what we can say is that it looks like this election cycle has contributed to the development of less complacent public discourse, and we hope that will continue in a peaceful and positive way, because as Americans, we've become complacent about a lot of things that aren't necessarily decided in the voting booths. We'd like to think that since the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s resulted in national legal action to prevent racial segregation, that discrimination, bias, and aberrant miscommunications don't exist today. Whether we want to admit it or not, we know that's not true. And few events highlight this undesirable truth more than the gun violence and police brutality that has been featured by the media and social media over the past few years. One of the most recent cases of a member of law enforcement killing an unarmed civilian involved a state trooper shooting a deaf man in North Carolina. Although the police have offered no explanation for the incident, a family member of the deceased has suggested that a lack of training in how to communicate with people in the deaf community may have contributed to the encounter ending as violently as it did. And this brings us back to the topic of choice. As a national community, we have to choose to encourage our state and local police departments to do a better job of training officers in conflict resolution. We have to choose to put pressure on lawmakers and law enforcers to prevent the passage of intentionally discriminatory legislation and to prevent cases of discrimination against minorities by officers of the law. We have to choose to ally ourselves with our fellow citizens. We have to choose whether to elect the Great Pumpkin or to promote equality from sea to shining sea, because complacency has no place in democracy. The United States exists because its citizens chose not to be ruled. We as a nation chose to govern ourselves. So if you want someone else to make decisions for you, you should move to the Galactic Empire, Panem, or Mordor. In this country, the only person making decisions for you is the Starbucks barista who decides whether your pumpkin latte will come with an extra shot of orange mystery jizz, because Starbucks is a fascist enterprise that serves us tasteless, turd-infused hipster juices and forces us to call it coffee. Every single one of us is accountable for our actions as a country because we choose to be a nation governed by the people, for the people. This is a huge responsibility, because it means that we also have to choose to educate ourselves about various issues, choose to call or write our representatives, and choose to vote. And of course there are people who choose not to do any of those things. If you choose complacency, that's your choice. But please don't lie to yourself and say that you had no effect on the outcome. Your chances of getting a jizzless coffee with cream and sugar substantially increase when you tell Stacy, the gum-chewing barista, in no uncertain terms that you would like your coffee to come jizzless, and that you'll be keeping an eye on the pumpkin-faced jizz machine. Stacy may have something to say about that, but if you choose not to back down, sooner or later you just might get that coffee prepared the way you like it. And the same is true of our political system. It is up to us to make our country a safer place with freedom and justice for all, and it is up to us to put people in public office who will carry out our intentions as a nation. Now, to avoid ending on such a serious note, Bunny and me would like to leave you with this picture we found on the internet of a man dressed in the most accurate Donald Trump costume ever seen. That's all we've got time for on Bunny and Me. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.